he's in the studio, he doesn't kill the drums. Let me tell you what I do. What I do, and I love to do, is I always ask the drummer, bring me 2 drum sets. Bring me your drum set, and bring me, borrow something, even if it's shitty. Okay, and we have that drum set up next. When we're recording here, and when I'm editing and we're preparing to the next song, you go and practice the next song and everything on that one.
Right.
Don't be touching here.
Right.
But what do you recommend?
I work with all different kinds. Guys that just didn't hit hard at all, barely registering sound, you know, and not in a good way. And there's guys that don't hit real hard, but it sounds like John Bonham. I think the main thing is anybody that's out there in the studio who's playing really hard, super hard, and going through heads every take and things, that's the guy that needs to pull back, he needs to relax, you know, and really work on that technique and not bury everything in there, because I mean at some point you're going to start choking the drum or the drums, and it's you're only going to get so much out of it. If you're smacking it, and you really kind of take a step back and just say, okay.
It all narrows down to technique.
Exactly.
You know? I mean,
exactly.
Learn about yourself.
Right. To me, it's kind of a myth. I mean, there is something definitely to hitting as hard as you can. You know, I mean, that's great. I just think that at some point the drum is going to be like, that's all I got.
Yeah.
That's all I've got, and you're just going to wind up hurting yourself. You know, there's some drums. You know, you start losing your technique. I think when you're just constantly hitting hard, and you're doing this, and the drums eventually are just
and I've seen heavy metal drummers, like metal drummers. And yes, they hit hard, but just because you're playing metal, it doesn't mean that you have to go and beat the shit out of the drums. No, no. I seen. I was just working with Bostaf just 2 months ago.
Oh wow!
What I saw on his right hand, every time that he would hit, not just the cymbals. I mean, not just the heads on the tones, but also the cymbals. It was that effect of the rebound. That rebound, because it almost looked like he was just rebound, like he was hitting soft,
right?
And his wrist is just reacting to that, and how it's coming back,
right?
But you just walk into the room, and he's
right.
He's recording drum fills later, but it's that technique,
right? There's a lot of those guys that it's the same way, where they're playing really, it's like they're playing really hard, you go, oh my God, but they're not really hitting very hard, and it's like a lot of that molar kind of technique, which I can't do, but it's something like you were just saying, and that's hitting properly, and he's drawing the sound out of the cymbals and drawing the sound out of the drums, rather than trying to beat it into submission, and get it that way. And it's like to me, if you just back off a little bit, the drums can breathe, and it really starts sounding the way they should, and cymbals as well.
What do you see in common that those great drummers have?
Their ability to listen, their ability to adapt to any situation, no matter what it is. When they walk in, they're doing a jazz tune, and the next tune, the guy brings up a chart for, the Black Page. Or they're doing a metal song, and they can adapt. They're not afraid. Oh, okay, and they do their thing, and boom, there they go. They're off to the next thing, and that's amazing to me.
That's a lot of practice.
A lot of practice. To get to that level where you can do that, that's insane. Awesome. And it's the same thing with like Kenny Aronoff or JR, Harvey Mason. Those guys, they're geniuses, and it's just it's a privilege to watch.
As a producer, I think I always have with two people that are just one, which is what happens in the studio. Is usually after a take or something, the drummer comes in, and even though I'm talking to the drummer, I'm talking to two people. I'm talking to the drummer and I'm talking to the tech. Right. But the tech is right there, and the interaction is amazing, because I can be looking at Vinnie and start talking about, on this part, it would be really good to change this pattern, right? And as soon as we're actually talking about, I'm not sure about the sound. I think we are talking about maybe expanding or making it more explosive. And even though I'm still looking probably at Vinnie, the person that is answering right there is you right there, because you are part of the conversation, because you are the okay. And then yeah, you know what? And then you can come up with suggestions.
Right.
And while I keep talking to the drummer about the parts, you're already there tweaking everything.
Right.
Tweaking everything.
I know what to do. You guys can do your thing, and I can be out there, you know, just getting. So when it's time, okay, here comes Vinnie. Well, I'm either done or close to being done, and we can go in and the session moves forward.
Exactly.
You know,
a lot of people on the outside world don't understand is that your presence there is not of the drum tech. You are part of the sound for that record. You are part of what made that record.
Yeah.
You know, and it's one of those building blocks. You know, and if you're missing that one,
yeah,
it's gonna fall.
Right. I hear you. And there's records I've worked on, and then it's like I listen back to them and I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what we had going, or the mix isn't very good, and it's like, what happened here? You know, it's either they've sampled or whoever mixed the record just didn't do a very good job mixing it, or other cases, the opposite is when it's like, I remember walking into the studio and going into the control room when he was playing, and that's exactly what I heard in the control room. It's exactly what I heard out in the live room with the drums, and now I'm listening to the record, and that's what I'm hearing with very little manipulation.
Yeah.
And that's huge. It's a huge satisfaction.
Awesome.
You know, so.
Dude, well, Mike, thank you very much.
My pleasure, Germán.
It's
My
awesome.
pleasure.
Bueno, seguimos acá, desde las perillas.